Welcome back to a brand new episode of Gen Z BTC. It's me, Satoshi Guapamoto. And today I'm going to be talking about how the government has completely sold you out and has flushed your future down the toilet. So you cannot make this stuff up. The US government, the debt just jumped by 473 billion over the last 3 weeks, okay? 500 billion basically this month. That's a record of 35.8 trillion that the deficit has grown to. This means that the US has taken on $1,450 of debt for every American that there is over the last 3 weeks alone. It also means that the U.S. now holds a record of $103,700 of debt for every single American. In 2024, the U.S. paid a total of $1.16 trillion in interest towards the debt, right? That's the first time that that's ever happened. It's above the $1 trillion mark. The United States now spends more on the interest payment on the debt, right? The interest payment on the credit card is now more than the entire U.S. military. Right? The interest alone, the United States paid $3,360 for every single American during the fiscal year of 2024. What is the long-term plan here? What is the long-term plan? What is happening? Well, what's happening is that the government is choosing, right? Instead of taking a approach of austerity means living within your means, cutting the budget where you can, and actually saving money, paying the debt off. Instead of doing that, they've decided they're going to print their way out, inflate their way out, right? And what ends up happening? What's the end game? What is the end game of the $35 trillion debt bubble? Well, the debt bubble goes to 40 trillion, then to 50 trillion. I'm not too sure how much further it can go past that, because at that point, the interest payment on the debt will be nearly 2 trillion. It'll be 2 trillion at that point, and that'll be more than Medicare, Medicaid, Social Security. It'll be more than everything, right? This is called insolvency, right? Here's what I want you to do. I want you to get so many credit cards, right, and so much debt on your credit cards that each payment is more than your monthly income, right? So if you make $1,000 a month and the monthly payment is $2,000, that's just your credit cards. What do you think is going to happen if you only make $1,000 a month and you have to pay $2,000? You're going to default. The United States is going to default. I'm joking. The United States cannot default. Why is that? It's because they can literally print money. And that's what they just did. They printed a lot of it over the last 3 weeks. The issue with that is someone has to eventually pay the debt off. Right? Because when you print money, you're getting a credit card, right? You as an individual can print money by taking out more and more loans. The reason why this doesn't work is because eventually credit lenders and banks or whoever you're getting money from is going to realize, wait a minute, this idiot is extremely over leveraged. He's never going to be able to pay me back, so I'm not going to give him another credit card. That's stupid. But the United States can issue their own credit cards, right? So if you keep doing this, eventually you have to pay someone back. Who's going to realize the loss? Who's going to pay the bill? Right now, we pay the bill. We pay in a very sneaky way. Again, every individual American owes about $106,000. You owe $106,000 in US debt, okay? How do you pay that? You pay it indirectly through inflation, right? You also pay for it directly through taxation. However, the issue is your tax is not enough to cover the amount that they printed. So the extra is tacked on in the form of inflation. That's why it's called the hidden wealth tax, right? Now, this is a question. I just want you to think about this as we go forward. I want you to think about this. If the government can just print money and your taxes are not enough to keep up with what they're printing, then why do you pay taxes? It's because if you don't, you get beat up and thrown in prison forever, unless you're super rich. Strangely enough, the people who are closest to the money printer, the super rich, right, the uber wealthy, that we are never talking about, right, in mainstream media, right? They're the ones who actually get to avoid taxes and they don't go to jail. It's kind of interesting. But you have to pay taxes. You're forced to pay taxes, actually. Kind of strange. Kind of interesting. Um, the debt over time just keeps getting bigger and bigger. This is not a political issue in terms of, it's not a partisan issue, right? Bush printed more money than anybody ever in history. And then Obama came and he printed way more money than that nerd, right? Because you have to. There's no choice. You can't stop. Who printed more money than Obama? The next dork, Donald Trump. He printed way more than Obama ever could have. Who printed more than that idiot? Joe Biden. Joe Byron printed way more money than Donald Trump. Who's going to print more than Joe Byron? Whoever's next. This is a never ending cycle, okay? We have aging demographics, right? As people live longer, we have older people, which means we have to set aside more money for Social Security, Medicare, and Medicaid. And also, these older people are not contributing to the economy, right? Also, a lot of their money isn't taxed at the same rate. So these are all compounding reasons why the deficit keeps getting bigger, rising healthcare costs, once again, because of old people, and two, because of the fact that we seem to get sicker and fatter. We seem to be getting sicker and fatter. So Americans are more unhealthy than ever because their food is literally cheap poison, right? Because corporations have to cut every corner that they can, which means that they're going to make the food as garbage as possible so that they can continue to sell you slop. You're going to eat it. You're going to get more unhealthy, more sick. It's going to be really bad. And then the medical care costs are going to go up, right? Also, Big Pharma has to get a cut because everything is a business, everything is a corporation, everything's about money. So yes, Big Pharma has to make more money off you as much as possible. They love it when you eat fast food all day, every day. Inadequate revenues, once again, even though taxes are higher than they've ever been, income tax is as high as it's ever been, all taxes across the board are as high as they've ever been. Despite tax cuts from Trump and everything, the taxes are still insanely high, and you pay a hidden tax on top of that. And you still can't pay off the debt because they're out printing what you can pay, right? The United States spends 2.4 billion on the interest every single day. If you had literally, if we went back in time 5,000 years, right? 5,000 years. That's like 1.8 million days, right? If you made $500,000 every day for 5,000 years, for 1.8 million years, you make 500,000. You're only going to have 900 something billion. That is less than what the United States printed since January of this year. $500,000 a day since back when the pyramids were built. Okay? You're not even close to what we did in a year. Let that sink in. Who's going to realize the loss? Who's going to pay for it? You're going to pay for it. Gen Alpha is going to pay for it. Gen Z is going to pay for it. We're already paying for it. But we're not even close to what is truly coming. Hyperinflation is what's truly coming. This is called the Great Melt Up. All right? Where everything melts up in value nominally. The nominal price of everything is going to go up so much that you're going to see some Weimar Germany World War II type beat. Okay? You thought it was bad now? You thought it was bad. Oh, the Caniac. The Caniac's $10, $12. The Caniac will be hundreds of dollars. That's not possible, bro. It's not possible, bro. Okay. Sure. Sure. Sure they said that in Germany as well. Sure they said that in Turkey as well. Sure they said that in Iran as well. Sure they said that in Spain as well. Sure they said that every time ever whenever the money was completely destroyed by an insane amount of inflation and a greedy government. These guys aren't stupid, by the way. The government's not just totally full of stupid people. They're traitors. I don't know if you know that, but they're traitors. So it's very unfortunate. It's very sad, very tragic. What do we do about this, though? Because on this channel, we're about solutions. We're not just sitting here crying. I laid out the problem. What are we going to do to try to fix it? Maybe we can raise everyone's taxes to 100%. All people, 100% tax. That's not going to work considering that the GDP of the United States is literally lower than the debt, right? The GDP is lower. The income of everything is lower than the debt. So that's not going to work. What else can we do? Maybe we could just make the debt go away. Just act like it doesn't exist. Well, all the countries that we owe money probably aren't going to like that very much. They're probably going to want to come collect the money at some point, right? So that's probably not going to work. Um, Maybe we can use something else of great value in order to get rid of the debt. Something that is more valuable than dollars, something that actually holds value. This is what Senator Loomis and many other proponents in the United States and economists who aren't coping have suggested. You will use a more powerful, more secure, more scarce, more valuable monetary network like Bitcoin in order to transition off of a debt-based standard, right, and onto a hard money standard, onto a Bitcoin standard, right? We're going to go over a Bitcoin standard future in another video, but essentially you're going to move away from a system where people can print money for nothing, where you have to go to work for money and they print money for nothing. It requires no work, to a system that can only be created using work, proof of work. That's what Bitcoin represents. Bitcoin represents proof of work, where no one can debase you, no one can take your money away just because they have a printer. You have to actually work in order to produce Bitcoins. That requires electricity. That is the only way to make Bitcoins. You cannot make any more of them. There's 21 million. You have to make everything fit inside of that. All the economic value of the world has to fit inside 21 million. That's why the price keeps going up, because the demand continues to increase. It continues to absorb the productivity and efficiency of the economy and of technology, but there's never going to be any more supply. The supply is inelastic, right? These are pretty big concepts to grasp, but it's important that we start to understand them sooner rather than later, because you don't want to be the one left holding dollars when the world switches to that other standard, right? You might think, oh, the world's going to switch to a gold standard. They tried that before, buddy. That's why we're here now. Doesn't work. Too centralized, too heavy, too slow. We live in a digital economy, in a globalized world where finance is instantaneous. We need to be able to transact instantly. This is where the world's going. That's why all these people are moving to Bitcoin. That's why all these people are moving to blockchain technologies. This is why the world is becoming more decentralized, right? Because we are seeing the cracks in centralization in real time once again. Do you want to be the guy holding fiat when the music stops? I don't know. It's up to you. It's your life. It's up to you to choose. But right now, we're seeing something very crazy. We are seeing the hyperinflation of the dollar. We're seeing the debasement of the currency. We are seeing the impoverishment of all the individuals in the society. So the smart people are going to be on one side, and the people who maybe were a little bit more arrogant and not as bright, they're going to be on the other. What's going to happen? I'm not too sure. I'm really not too sure. I'm just hoping that it is as peaceful and as clean and easy as possible. But that's probably wishful thinking. Look up how hyperinflation affected societies when it started to run rampant throughout times in history. It was never really a clean break, right? It was always a tough run for sure. But either way, I think we'll be able to win, come out of it on top, and hopefully we can be okay. Hopefully we don't all eat each other, right? We'll see how it all unfolds. This has been Gen Z BTC. I hope you enjoyed this video. I hope you learned something from it. I hope you gained some value from it. If you did, then please like the video. Please share the video. Please comment on the video. Talk about it because that helps the algorithm to push this message outward, because the great melt up is happening. I just need more people to realize it and maybe fight back, to push back, because I don't want to just sit here and take this and have my future thrown away. Gen Zers don't want their future thrown away. Millennials don't want their future thrown away. Gen Alpha doesn't want their future thrown away. So if you don't want your future thrown away, then hopefully you'll speak up and say something and put a message out there. I'll see you on the next video. Stack sats or die trying.